Finally, BWTM fans, Vlad Sirenko in a step-up fight against Ustinov. We have the trainer of Vlad Sirenko in the room, none other than James Ali Bashir, Uncle James Ali Bashir. Stay with us for this breaking news on BWTM Sports. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here we are with the man himself, Uncle James Ali Bashir, back in the house. How we doing, Uncle?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's very good.
Fantastic. We finally get in the step-up fight that everybody wants to see Vlad Sirenko in.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, everybody wants to see him in it.
So, was there any sort of specific thinking? I know you talked about Vlad Sirenko fighting Marisvac, Ustinov, and it was Cash Ali was another name that was floating around. So why was it you went with Ustinov?
Well, Ustinov was the one that was nearest to us, the one that we could arrange. We made the financial arrangements, and so it seemed to be the easiest one to make at the time. I still want the Cash Ali fight, even after this fight. If he fights Ustinov and he's successful, I don't think that we're going to need the Marius Wack fight. I'd like to get Cash Ali. I'd like to go past Marius Wack and go to Cash Ali. I'd like to see that fight.
So what does Ustinov bring in this fight to you in terms of a step up for Sirenko?
He brings wisdom. He brings the experience of having been there in the big fights. And I think that he's a great test for Vlad Sirenko.
Do you think Vlad's going to be looking at? I know a lot of fighters, unbeaten fighters, when they're that step-up fight, they look at other guys that are more experienced than them who've got early knockouts or spectacular wins. Do you think that Sirenko's going to look at the way Joyce fought Ustinov, or how maybe other fighters have fought Ustinov? Thought, right, I'm going to try and knock this guy out even quicker.
No, because I'm not going to let that happen. You know, I'm there. I'm his trainer, but I'm also his conscience. You know, and I warn against those kind of perceptions, because every fighter is different and every style is different. Because one guy did this or that with a fighter does not mean that the other fighter, the next fighter, is going to do that. So, you know, I'm warning against that. Go into the fight as a professional and take one round at a time and be very careful, because Ustinov has been in the big fights. He knows what it is to be in tough fights, and he can do damage. He's a big guy.
Punching power. So Ustinov's been late in his career, he's been knocked out. Now, if Sirenko doesn't get the knockout, does that mean that Sirenko's not a big puncher? Or what does that mean? Because sometimes you've got fights where guys go out there and steamroll a fighter, and you think, well, okay, if he can do it, then someone else can do it.
I just explained that there. Every fight is different. Every fighter, every style is different.
But why is that? Why is that? That one guy can go knock a guy out, and then another guy who's meant to be a bigger puncher goes the distance.
You know, Ustinov, if he got knocked out by Joe Joyce, he got knocked out by Michael Hunter. So these guys are still competing. You know, they're competing. So they go back to the lab and they say, I made a mistake doing this. I made a mistake doing that. I won't make the mistake in the next fight. So they increase their experiences.
Okay.
You know, they increase their knowledge. They know how to defend against being hurt like that again. So in fact, Vlad Sirenko's fight is going to be a tad harder than Joe Joyce and Michael Hunter, because Ustinov has had time to go back to the lab. He's going back to the gym, and he says, I want to compete. I still want to be in boxing, so I've got to correct my mistakes. So it's going to be harder for Vlad Sirenko to get the same results.
How much ambition do you think Ustinov has still got left in his mindset?
I know that he signed the fight. That's all that I know. He signed the fight, and if he signed the fight, then I'm taking him serious. I'm looking at the Ustinov of 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I've met him personally. I met him. I had the pleasure of meeting him and Marisvac. They're both huge guys.
Yeah, they're big guys. I worked briefly with Marisvac down in the United States, and they're big guys. And if somebody goes in the ring and sleeps on those guys, they can get hurt. These guys are experienced guys. They've been around the block a couple of times.
So what are you expecting from Sirenko? You've been training him a while now, and with every coach, there's always a what's next? What improvements can I see? What am I expecting to get out of this fight? Percentages. So what is it for you this time, for this fight?
The same thing as it's been all along, to do better. Whatever you're doing, the jab, the hook, the counter punching, to do better. To wake up in there. Don't sleep on the job. Sometimes, you get lackadaisical. You get lazy with success. Vlad Sirenko is 17-0 with 14 KOs. And sometimes young guys like Vlad Sirenko is 26 years old. So sometimes young guys look at their records and admire the records and forget that the job is still ongoing. So they have to be alert at all times. So I'm looking for that alertness, that quickness. Just the other day, I mentioned to him in sparring that he was dragging his ass. You can't take nothing for granted. You can't afford to have a bad day when you're 17-0. You can't afford to have a bad day.
So
every day,
for people who,
every day has to be a
so
good day.
people who are listening, with people who are listening in and saying he's dragging his ass, what does that mean in the layman's terms for people who don't understand what dragging their ass means?
Well, the jab, I can see the jab coming. If I can see the jab coming, then the boxer that you're boxing can see the jab coming. I don't want that. I want the jab out there and back to your hand to protect your face, as though you were trying to. My example to them is that if I put a $100 bill in my hand, and I tell you, you can take that $100 bill if you can grab it out of my hand before I close my hand. How are you going to take it?
Snatch it.
Yes, you got to turn your hand over. You got to turn your hand over. This is my illustration for using the jab. You have to turn the jab over. Many people jab sideways, but in order to be effective with the jab, you got to turn the jab over, palm down to the floor to take the money out of my hand. So you got to be quick, and that's how I want the jab to come out every single time. And people say, "Well, that's impossible." How do you know it's impossible? How can somebody say it's impossible?
Yeah, I had a similar situation the other day. A young lady said to one other young lady in the coaching session, "It's impossible. She can't do that." I said, "How do you know what she can't do if you've never seen her do it?" I said, "What you're telling her is that it's impossible for you." So, once the coach sees it's possible for somebody else and they have that belief, how can it be impossible?
I just don't think that an aspiring heavyweight champion can afford to have a bad day. You can't afford to have a bad day. Even if you have a bad day, you can't afford to have a bad day. My thinking is that every day has got to be better and better and better and better. To me, with my thoughts, the way I'm thinking about it, we're approaching this fight with Alexander Ustinov like it's the world championship. I'm that nervous. I'm always nervous. I'm always edgy. You understand? And I want to be damn near perfect, if not perfect, when he steps in the ring.
Okay, so if you're gonna paint this fight, how do you see it going in terms of what Ustinov brings, his size, his jab, his experience
I'm expecting
versus
Sirenko. I'm expecting Sirenko to KO Alexander Ustinov, because my thinking is that Ustinov is trying to KO Vlad Sirenko, and I made Vlad Sirenko aware of that he's coming in there trying to look for the KO. So you've got to go in there looking for the KO. You know.
But how do you get? I go back to this question again. How do you get into a fighter's mind who said, "Yeah, I know Alexander Ustinov. I've seen him fight. I've seen him get knocked out. I can go and do the same thing as well." How do you stop a fighter from having that mentality? I'm just going to go out there and knock him out. Because you've seen it so many times in fights where a trainer's in the corner and the fighter's still doing his own thing because they're so set on what they thought about before they got in the ring.
I don't have that problem with Vlad Sirenko.
Okay.
Vlad Sirenko is a good listener, and he has great respect for me. This is why we click so well, because he has great respect for me. And he takes with the knowledge and experience I have as a boxing trainer, he takes from that. I want him against that, you know, and he listens pretty well, you know. So he's gonna go out there, he's gonna do his thing. He's gonna be sharp, and he's gonna work. And I'll let him know that you cannot underestimate nobody, no single person in that ring you can underestimate, because it only takes one punch. And these guys are heavyweight. Ustinov most likely is gonna come in the rings 265, 270. And I think he's about 6'9". He's a big guy, you know?
He's a big guy. Yeah. He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
And big guys like that don't have to be hard punches. All they got to do is
land
and get on them, and they can knock your head off, you know?
Okay. So, rounds. You think this is going to be an early night's work, or you think it's going to be a mid to late round fight?
I won't know until after the third round.
Okay.
You know, because the third round, if, both guys are working, and they'll be starting to getting that to that heated up stage where they're starting to breathe. So, and those guys, that kind of explosive in there, you know. It's going to be pretty explosive in there, and I think both of them should be pretty heated up by the third round, and the bombs should start flying in. I think that the bombs goes off between 3 and 5 rounds. The bombs should start flying.
Within 3 or 5, the bombs. So you say 3 rounds. I mean, within 3 rounds, you'll know where this fight is going. What sort of problems or challenges do you think Ustinov will give Sirenko? Are you anticipating?
Well, he's a veteran. He's a veteran. He's been out there with some big names. He's got that experience. So there's no telling what he's going to bring to the table. Like I said, he's had time to go back to the lab and correct some things. You know, he's been down a couple of times, and he's been in some tough fights. And of course, if he's still in the game, he's probably going back to the drawing board and try to correct those mistakes. So it's going to be different. It's going, like I said, you can't tell until you get around between 3 and 5 rounds. Then you can tell which way the wind is blowing, you know.
So let's talk about Ustinov for a second. He's faced Joe Joyce, Michael Hunter, many top heavyweights. He would probably come into this fight thinking, well, I fought guys that have more established names than Vlad Sirenko. For Ustinov, it's like an opportunity. If I beat Sirenko, I'm right back in it again.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I raised the issue with Vlad Sirenko. If he knocks you off, he's back in the hunt. You know, I think Vlad Sirenko is ranked number 38 in the world now, and he's come from somewhere in the 200s. It took him
She's ranked
almost 5 years.
30, ranked 38 in the world now, Vlad Sirenko.
38 in the world, you know, and he's come all the way from the 200 down to 38. So that's big.
That's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
If he beats Ustinov, it depends on how he beats Ustinov. If he beats Ustinov and KOs Ustinov, Vlad Sirenko can move into number 20, number 21 somewhere. You know, he could take a big leap from 38 down to 2021. You know.
So the belt that's on the line, was that the WBC Asia belt, or was there
Asia.
There was a
WBC Asia belt.
Okay. And with every these belts, you get these rankings. So is that a vacant belt?
No, it's Vlad Sirenko's belt.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
so when did Vlad win that fight? For people to know.
His last fight, he won that belt. In the last fight, he won that belt.
Okay. So people know who are watching.
I think it's ESPN. ESPN is having that fight too.
ESPN showing the fight.
Yes, ESPN will have the fight.
Go on, Uncle.
You know, this is
Go
a
on,
big
Uncle.
fight.
Yeah, on ESPN as well. That's good.
Yes, ESPN in America. You know, America is showing on ESPN. I think it's going to be 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon in America. You know, of course, we're in Europe. The fight is going to be here. The fight is going to be here in Bulgaria. You know, we did part of the training camp in Greece, and now we're back in Bulgaria, and the fight was going to take place here in Bulgaria. So, and the fight is going to be
why do you train in Bulgaria and Greece and not the Ukraine?
Well, we had a problem finding tall fighters. So we had to travel. We had to travel to find those tall fighters. And then a lot of tall fighters in Ukraine is where the Usyk the Joshua fight. So we had to travel abroad. Mm-hmm. Yes, so a lot of the tall fighters were from Usyk. We had to travel abroad to find guys that were the stature of Ustinov, big, strong guys. Because Ustinov, like I said, Ustinov is liable to come in at 275, 280. He's a big guy.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. While you're on the subject, I don't want to. Go on. Go ahead, Uncle.
We had to get people who were in the stature of Ustinov. I'm taking the fight very seriously.
Yes, while we're talking, you did mention Usyk, your former charge. Johnny Nelson mentioned that Usyk had a better amateur pedigree than Anthony Joshua. Is that going to matter come fight night?
No, it's not going to matter. I told you many times before, I don't put a lot of stock in an amateur career. I mean, sometimes it benefits a fighter, and then there's other times that I don't think it benefits a fighter. I think it boils down to the individual, what the individual has in mind, what he has in his ability. So I don't think it's going to play into this fight at all. You know, Anthony Joshua was a big, strong guy, and he's a big, strong guy. Usyk is a little strong guy, so I don't think that the amateur background is going to play into this fight.
Joshua said it's going to be brains that wins in this fight, not brawn.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that one?
I saw that there, but I don't think that it would be a very smart thing for Anthony Joshua to do.
Try and box
Usyk. Go out there and try to play the scientist role versus Alexander Ustinov, because if he does, he's going to wake up the next morning the ex-champion of the world.
Yeah, he will.
You know, he should not go out there trying to play tic-tac-toe, get cute with Usyk, because Usyk is a master at that. I trained Alexander Usyk for 3 years, and I know him through and through. I know him up close and personal. He's not going to win that fight. There's very few people in the heavyweight division, if any, that's going to beat Usyk playing that kind of game. No, if I was with the mindset governing Anthony Joshua, I would instruct him to get behind that jab. He's got a good jab when he's using it. But I would implore him to use that jab over time and jab everything. I mean, jab everything. Don't jab for the head or jab for the stomach. Jab everything and anything above the waist, he needs to jab it. He's boxing a lefty, and he needs to put hands. It's important that he put hands on Alexander Usyk so that he knows where Usyk is. Because if you ain't got hands on him, you don't know where he's at. Usyk is that kind of fighter. He's very, very crafty. He's got good legs, and he's got a good mind. He's got a good chin. But even good chins crumble under the power that Anthony Joshua has. So if he wants to get on top of something, if he wants to keep the heavyweight championship, my suggestion is that he goes out there and fights like a big man. Don't go out there playing tic-tac-toe, because if he does, I'm telling you, it's not going to end well for Joshua.
Have you had any other thoughts about the weight that Usyk has put on? 235, 240 pounds is coming in?
I can't imagine Usyk is going to come in 235. I can't imagine him coming at 225. I just think that is a bit much. I think that if he comes in like that day, I think he'll be tired in 5-6 rounds of hard fighting, depending upon the way Joshua comes out. If Joshua comes out and jumps on him, gets behind the jab, pushes him around, mauls him, brawls him a little bit, I think he's going to get tired with that kind of weight on him. I would have him come in lighter, 218, no more than 219. I'd keep him light so he can box. You know, that's his chance. Not to say that Usyk can't knock Joshua out, because I mean Joshua seems to be vulnerable to the counter left. He just gets his left hands. I was watching him. I was binge watching him one night, and it seems to me that he gets hit with left hands. Every time somebody throws a left hand, they land.
Do you know? He seems to get
left hand, huh?
Joshua. He throws a very good left. Joshua seems to get caught with the left hook when he actually tries to charge in and attack. Joshua's okay when he's standing up and he's boxing. He's cool. Once he starts to engage.
When he throws the right hand, it's like he throws the right hand and twists. He twists so far around to his back of his head is exposed. He throws the right hand, and when he misses, his head is he's always getting hit. He always get hit with the left hook. Dillian and White, Ruiz, they're both playing the left hook together, get him in trouble. You know, instead of throwing the right hand, got control of the balance, he's throwing the right hand and he's twisting almost around. You can't do that with Alexander Usyk. Usyk is too smart. He's too smart.
He's too smart for all that. Now, just before... Go ahead, Uncle.
If you do that with Alexander Usyk, it's not going to end well for Joshua.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Before I close, I want to... Go ahead.
I said many years ago, and I think it might have been the 5th, 6th fight Usyk was having as a cruiserweight. I said in the press conference that Alexander Usyk would win the heavyweight championship, regardless to who's there. You know, he's smart. He's smart enough to do that. He's a very intelligent boxer. Very, very intelligent. You make a mistake, he's going to be on you. You know, he's going to be on you like mustard on a hot dog. I'm telling you.
Yes. So, Uncle, before I close, I want to ask you a question. It's a question I'm getting asked a lot by fighters in Africa. What would be your biggest advice to fighters in Africa to make it to the USA? They're unbeaten. They're professional fighters. They've had 3 or 4
Say it again.
fights, or they may be up and coming amateur stars. Talk to me.
Say that again.
I said, what? Okay, what would be your advice to fighters in Africa that want to come and fight in the United States? Unbeaten, unbeaten pro fighters, 5-10 fights, or they are up and coming amateurs. What would be your advice to them?
Well, this COVID thing changed a lot of stuff. Boxing in the pros now, you got to do something like setting something on fire in the top of the sky where everybody on earth looking up and say, there's a fire in the sky. So the guys that's fighting in Africa, they got to go out and make a name. When they go out there, they can't take no prisoners, They got to make a name. This young man, Ugas, I understand they're trying to make a fight with Ugas versus Earl Spence. That's his chance. That's his opportunity. He's got to plow forward and beat Earl Spence. He must beat him. He must beat him right now. He must beat him. Because if he beats Earl Spence, then he can say, welcome to big time boxing. So those people in Africa, they can't sit around wishing on a star. They got to go out and make it happen. When they go in the ring, every fight is for the world championship. And this is the kind of mentality that I try to breathe into the fighters that I train. That every fight is for the world championship. Every fight.
So okay. So they've got knockouts. They've fought 15 guys. They've got 15 knockouts. They look devastating. They're big punchers. What do they go from there? Where do they go from there? How do they make the jump from Africa to the States? How do they get themselves seen? In your opinion?
First of all, they got to have some kind of video, not just a video of highlights. Some kind of video that anybody that was looking to manage them or get a promoter for them they can walk into the promoter's office and say, hey, take a look at this tape. The same thing with the rappers do with the audios. They come in and say, hey, listen to that audio.
Yes.
Somebody like a Jay-Z or somebody like that listen to some, whoa, this guy got something. Same process. They've got to have something, and they've got to listen. They can't come in and start telling the people that's in control what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. Because the people's going to say, look, I got people all over the world calling.
Go home. Yeah.
Yeah. I got people that call me. I tell people all the time. I got people calling me literally from many parts of the world, ask me to train this person, and that person asked me to train this person. And then I look at the person, and then I look at the attitude of the person, and in the back of my mind, I said, no, I don't want to get involved because this person is not going to listen. They're not going to listen, and I don't have time for that. I don't want to get involved with that damn stuff and wear myself out, So I try to take the people. I try to take the people who are worth my time, worth my interest, that's going to listen to what I'm telling them.
Okay.
But this is not a daycare center. This is not a daycare center, man. This is the fight business. You either in or you out. That's the bottom line. You in or you out.
Now, I think we're being joined by the father of a Nigerian young girl, 10 years old. She's making stories around the world of her boxing ability. Had the pleasure to meet her father. and she says that she wants to box in the Olympics. The girl has got hands, beautiful young boxer, and yeah, her dad's watching. So, do you have a message to her dad that's watching at the moment?
Just embrace her, stay close to her, watch her, and nurture her. Don't move her too fast. She's 10 years old. She's got time. Nurture her, hand in hand, and make sure she has plenty of videos after she does her schoolwork, so she'll have something to fall back on if this boxing thing don't work.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Uncle. I've got we've got a.
Is she a big girl, a little girl?
Look, she's 10 years old. No, I'll send you some video clips of her. That might be an idea. I'll see some video clips of her. And there's about 6 hours of boxing. We have one guy there. His name is Bomb Squad Barrio. And he's been knocking guys out left, right, and center. He dedicates his whole career to Deontay Wilder. That's his idol. He's even got his hair like him. And he's about knocking people out. He's a light heavyweight. So I will send you some video on him as well. He's making quite a lot of waves. There's a couple of guys here in Africa are really making big waves at the moment. So I'll send you some videos over for you to take a look at that. That was on the show on Saturday.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
Has Bomb Squad been hit on the chin?
Yes, he was getting hit on the chin that last fight, and he responded very well.
Okay. Long as he been hit on the chin.
I'll send you the tape.
Okay, I'll look for it because Bomb Squad got to understand that there's bomb squads is a two-way street.
Yes, it is. Bombs going out and incoming bombs.
All right, I'll be glad. I'll take a look at him. And if he's worth it, this is what I'm saying. If he's worth it, and when I say is he worth it, it's not that I'm looking down on nobody. I'm just looking at the how the world is going to look at him. Is he worth it?
Is he branding well? Is he branding well? He's got something there, Uncle. He's definitely got something there. So I'll definitely send the video over.
All right, I'll look forward to it. I hope
okay.
So.
There's a bunch of guys. It was 6 hours of boxing. There was exhibition bouts, amateur bouts, and then they had the professional bouts, including the current WBU champion, Tyson Kill.
It's a few Nigerian fighters, cruiserweight.
F.A. Jagba. F.A. Jagba.
F.A. Jagba. But there was somebody.
Samuel Peter.
Was that Bash? It was Bash Ali. Bash Ali came out of Nigeria. Was it Adolfo Washington? No, it wasn't Adolfo Washington. It was a couple of guys. Cruiserweights.
Alfred Cote was an African, a Ghanaian.
Yeah, but he's Ghanaian. But there was a couple of guys that were cruiserweights that came out of Bash Ali was one of them. Bash Ali.
Yeah, there was a cruiserweight. I know who you're talking about. Cruiserweight. He had a square box hairstyle. Very good cruiserweight.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the late 70s,
70s.
It was some good cruiserweights that came out of it. Nigerian fighters, in short, when they come to America, they usually be good fighters. They usually be good fighters. But a lot of the Nigerian fighters that come to America, they start slipping as soon as they get to America.
Yeah.
They start slipping. They start picking up American habits. They pick up American habits and stuff, and then that's when they start slipping. So the ones that stay focused usually make it. The Ghanaian fighters and the Nigerian fighters, they're all affected by the same things. You got to be focused. When you come here on a mission. Your mission is to win the world championship, not to be hanging out, meeting up with other people who have been here and acting foolish. And that's what causes them to lose.
Absolutely.
Boxing
Uncle Bashir.
Boxing is not a game. Boxing is not a game.
Not. You don't play boxing at all. Absolutely.
No, it's not a game. You know, I'm here in this room in a foreign country. Don't nobody speak the language, and the people that do speak the language, they speak it briefly and they're gone. You know, so
Yes.
I'm spending all that, and I've been here, you know, 2-3 weeks, and I'm going to be here 4 more weeks. And this is how I spend my evenings inside of my room. You know, watching videos of Alexander Ustinov. You know? Yeah, because I want to win. And Vlad
Absolutely,
Sirenko,
Uncle.
I know Vlad Sirenko must be tired of me because I'm in his ear all day, every day, from sun up to sundown. I'm in his ear. This is what we have to do. That's what we have to do. This is what we have to do. You know. And he told me something that he was tired or something. I said, "Hey man, you can't afford to have a bad day when you're trying to pursue the heavyweight championship. Well, there is no bad days. Create a good day.
Yes.
You have to create.
Yes.
You can't. I tell you, boxing is, in my mind, 70% mental and 30% physical.
Physical.
Because you can make a mountain out of an anthill. You understand? Or anthill into a mountain if you got the wrong mindset. And when Joshua says, "Oh, it's gonna be a mind thing," I said, "Uh-oh." When I saw that there, I said, "Uh-oh,
that's trouble."
That's trouble. That's trouble. George Foreman, Sonny Liston had that exact mentality. Sonny Liston was facing Floyd Patterson. Joe Frazier was facing George Foreman was facing Joe Frazier, and they had the right attitude. I am going to kill you. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you throw. I'm going to kill you.
You're getting knocked out.
And they just walk through those guys. They walk through those guys. Joe Frazier said that he was, George Foreman said he was afraid of Joe Frazier. He said, that's why I knocked him out. He said, I was afraid. I was afraid of Joe Frazier. And that's why I pounded him out of there. So who knows what goes through a fighter's mind once that bell rings. They're going to be in front of 80, 85, 90,000 people in that arena. You know? And Joshua's been there before. I don't know if Usyk has fought in front of that many people, but Joshua's been there before. So he's got to go in, and he's got to go in. He's got to dig down. He's got to fight. You know, because if he loses this belt, if he loses that belt, it won't look good. It won't be good.
No, it won't. Uncle, we'll have to leave. I'll have to leave it there with you. All right?
Yes. All right.
We can catch up another time. But thank you so much. And closer to Sirenko's fight and closer to Usyk's fight, we'll come back and we'll run it back and we'll talk some more. Oh, final word on Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao is a champion for all times. You know, he's a champ in my book. He's a champ. Man, I'm gonna miss him if he walks away from boxing now, and rightfully so. I'm gonna miss him. Yeah. You know, because he's a gallant young man. Oh my God, he's a wolf in the ring. And I was looking at Yadinas Ugas. I was looking at his face and I was saying, goodness gracious, what was he hitting Ugas with? What was he hitting? I mean, did you see Ugas' face? I was asking myself, what was Pacquiao hitting him with?
Bricks. You know? Have you seen the size of Pacquiao's hands though? His hands are massive.
He can hit.
So I'm not surprised. He can punch.
Shane Mosley went back. Shane Mosley said that Pacquiao can hit. You know, because he dropped Shane Mosley. You know.
Yeah.
And Shane Mosley said that he can punch. He said he can punch.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it wasn't an easy night. Ugas deserves. Now people saying, "Oh, Earl Spence would have knocked him out." This and that. But let me tell you something. Different fighters, because it could be now. It could be. I'm not saying that it was, but it could be that there was a disappointment thing inside of Pacquiao. Oh, man.
That's what I said. I've got to fight Ugas now.
I did all this work, and I was all ready for Earl Spence. Now I got somebody else. 11 days notice.
Yeah.
And I got Ugas, and Ugas is not a big name. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. So you never can tell.
Yeah.
You never get, because everybody, Earl Spence would have knocked him out. This and that. Again, I go back to the same thing I just said. No two fighters are the same. No two fights are the same.
Yep.
Pacquiao was way up.
Ready, and he was ready for Spence.
He was ready for Spence.
That's what I was telling everyone on the show. I said that as well.
And emotionally, there could have been some letdown.
Of course.
So, and I mean, I'm not saying that Earl Spence still can't go in there and stop Manny Pacquiao. But I'm saying people can't say, oh, Earl Spence would have did this, he would have did that, because you don't know what the emotion was. How much emotion that took out of Manny Pacquiao. It's likely that Earl Spence is younger, stronger, bigger. It's likely Earl Spence would beat him. It's likely Earl Spence would beat him, but I still would like to see the fight. I would still like to see the fight. I still would like to see the fight, because Manny Pacquiao has done that, impressed upon me that he can still stay in there with the best of them.
I still believe that today. Even now, I still believe that.
Yeah, because like I said, it's body and mind, and Manny Pacquiao has that kind of drive as an individual, as a human being. He has that kind of drive. I mean, Scott's 42 years old, nearly 43 years old, and he just went the distance with a champion, with a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
He went the distance with a world champion, a big world champion compared to him.
Yeah.
I was thinking that Manny Pacquiao should drop down to maybe junior welterweight, because the welterweights are so big.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at him and Earl Spence in the picture. I said, goodness gracious, Earl Spence is huge over Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's more of him to hit.
But Manny Pacquiao, huh?
There's more of him to hit.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao seemed to be comfortable with, no, don't worry about it. I got it. Everything's all right. I got him, So, if he says goodbye to boxing, then I'm all for it. He paid his dues. Yeah. He earned his respect. Yes. I'm all for it. But if he says that I want to still come back and fight Earl Spence, I'd like to see that.
Sounds good. Uncle, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And
all right, we'll signing off from Bulgaria.
Don't make it sound so bad, Uncle.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. We don't communicate it all over the world. Now we in Bulgaria.
Absolutely, and we got the exclusive with you.
Yeah. You got to keep
Uncle,
it going.
Absolutely. Take care, Uncle. Have a great night.
Yes. Hey, go away. Get out of here.
Come on.